Okay, welcome everybody. How is everybody doing with the camp this week? Are you having fun? I see some nods, some hellos, some hands up, thumbs up. That's great. So what are we at? Day 3 of the Learning Human camp, and this is our third presentation this week. So I'm really excited to join again today and to be here with some of my colleagues. I'm Ann Keene. I am the Global Education Lead for Zoom, and I've been here a little less than 6 weeks. And I have with me my colleagues, Jason Lee, who is our Chief Internet Security Officer. And also I have Tane Vazos, who is our Education Product Lead. And we have Scott Esser, who is the Head of Sales for the East Coast, and also Ryan Gallagher, who is part of our marketing team. So welcome everybody. The session today, what we'd like to do is share with you, the session's called Listening, Learning, and Leading. And so a large part of what we want to do with this this great group of, as Lev likes to call you, troublemakers, rabble-rousers, mavericks, change makers. So what we'd like to really do is have the opportunity to listen to you, to hear about some of your Zoom experiences and some of the just things that you can help us in shaping our commitment, our further commitment to the education community at large. And it is a global community. So what I'm going to do is we're going to share, Jason's going to share some of our privacy updates, and then Tane's going to talk a little bit about what we have been listening and learning about some of the product enhancements that you would like. So we're going to have some dialogue there, and then Scott's here to answer any kind of sales questions, and Ryan and I will field all the other questions. So we're going to hold the questions to the end, and Ryan's going to be helping me field those questions. And somebody just said they're a rebel and a disruptor. I love it. So we want this to be interactive, and really we're here to learn as much from you as you are from us. So let's kick it off. Jason, I'm going to hand it over to you, and please share with them what we've been up to the last 90 days to really focus on security and privacy.
All right. Can everybody see my screen?
And Jason, tell them when you joined.
Yeah. I'll do a brief introduction. So my name is, can everybody see my screen all right?
Yes.
Okay. My name is Jason Lee. So I'm the Chief Information Security Officer at Zoom. I came from Salesforce. I was there for several years as a security leader over there. And then prior to that, I was at Microsoft. I am on my 4th week here, so I'm like 3.5 weeks in. So, but in Zoom time, I think they said that that's like 3 months or 6 months or whatnot. So I'm excited to be here. I wanted to also tell a little bit about, why did I choose Zoom? I saw how there was a big inflection point. There was this point where I saw that in the news, there was a whole bunch of stuff around security and privacy. And what I saw was how open and transparent and how much of a learner mindset that Zoom had approached all the security area. And I saw that, such incredible growth, incredible challenges, and I just felt like I had to be part of it. I was just, it was just so exciting. And I wanted to be part of it. I wanted to get the security to be better, to be an industry leader in security, build an organization, and really work with the awesome Zoom team. So I'm here now. What I'll do is walk through some of the highlights on our security action plan. This was the last 90 days. Similar to what I saw like at Microsoft, back in the day, they also had an inflection point around security. And I think it was SQL Slammer back in the day. And what happened at Zoom is the same thing, is security really became front and center. And what the whole organization did was everybody leaned in and basically did a pause on all features for 90 days, and 100 new features were delivered that were really around privacy and security. Of course, one thing that was in the news quite a bit was around encryption. I have a couple slides that I'll quickly walk through as well that'll talk about the encryption a little bit more and kind of the roadmap that we're on there. There's also the reported user. If there's somebody that is disrupting your meeting or somebody that you want to report abuse or something like that. Another thing that was important is what we call geofencing. So what you can do from an administration side is you can control what data centers that all of your Zoom traffic would go through. I know in the news there was a discussion around what traffic was going to China. Was there traffic going to China? And there was a misconfiguration at the time, and so that was another control that we put in place. Was you can now choose and by the way, default off right now is China, but we have it globally, and you can pick and choose which ones from across the world of our 17 data center locations. We also did a whole bunch of third-party reviews to really look into all of our products, practices, and policies. We brought in Alex Stamos, who is at Stanford. He also was the CISO at Facebook, and he's a great thought leader in the security space. And so I really appreciate the guidance. I meet with him constantly still, and he is just a fantastic advisor. We also brought in Leah Kistner, who was the head of the privacy group within Google, and she was incredible as well, and is still providing advice for us and guidance. So that was something that was really important. And for me personally, I really loved how Eric had brought in, experts and to help us along on our path, because I think that is definitely having that partnership and the ability to be leveraging those thought leaders is important. Another thing that hasn't been delivered yet that's being worked on is a transparency report. And what a transparency report is all the law enforcement requests, what sort of and government requests that come in around our users, content, any kind of requests. We are going to be posting that. We'll be posting it on I believe it's a quarterly basis. We have posted is our guide and our principles around how we are going to respond to the government requests. And we've updated our privacy policies to reflect that, because again, it was, the company took it from a learner mindset, and there was a couple things in the news, and the company really adapted and learned and really focused on what the customer is asking for. And so this is just another example of really adapting and learning. We also updated our bug bounty program. For those that don't know, bug bounty program is where you partner with security researchers, and the researchers get paid for finding certain levels of types of vulnerabilities. I've built, and I'm continuing to build, the bug bounty program and increase the process around and the efficiency of getting the fixes done before this disclosure dates. I also hired a head of vulnerability and bug bounty. He came from NCC, which is one of the big security firms in the United States. We also brought in Luda Security. So this is Katie Masaris, and I actually worked with her back at Microsoft, and she was one of the basically founders of the bug bounty programs for across the world, is back when Microsoft was having their challenges. And so she definitely provided a lot of guidance and help for us. I talked about how important it was for us to get the voice of the customer. We've established a council with 36 CISOs of various companies. We also have what we call a roundtable, and this is by vertical. I think there's an education vertical. Actually, I know there is one around where we bring in CISOs and have the conversations and talk about our security plans, what we've done, what we plan on doing. Super helpful. I'm participating in as many as possible to be able to hear that voice. The other thing that was a concern was around, is there, what other sorts of vulnerabilities are there in our product? And so we brought in 3 very, very competent companies, Trail of Bits, NCC, and Bishop Fox. And what they're doing is looking across our entire platform and our entire code base to really look for other vulnerabilities and other issues in our code. They've been super helpful. And it isn't a one-time deal. They're going to continually be part of my security assurance program to make sure that the products are as secure as possible as we ship them out to our customers. The other thing that I loved, this is another reason why I wanted to come to Zoom, was Eric had these Ask Me Anything webinars, and it was an update around what we're doing in security at the moment, what are sort of issues that we're working through and learning on. And so that has moved to a monthly cadence, but that is something that we'll absolutely continue to keep doing.
Jason, I might add that they're all on our website too, if anybody wants to go and listen to any of them.
Yeah, funny story. So my the end of the 90 days was June 27th, I believe. That was my second day, and Eric had me come in and present on security on my second day. So that's just the speed at which we work at Zoom is incredible. And so that was a great experience and fun to really interact with our customers on that. So I'm going to talk a little bit about end-to-end encryption. I'll quickly go through these. The basic principle is that when you log in from your client, from your computer, and everybody else that joins into the meeting, is that there's all kinds of stuff in between. There's the internet service providers, there's Zoom's infrastructure. And what we're doing is what we consider end-to-end is from, and Alice and Bob is actually a traditional cryptography term, because it's on explaining different areas in crypto. And so Alice and Bob I think it's been around for like 40 years or something. And so I'll talk a little bit about what we're doing here.
They haven't aged a bit.
All right, so our end-to-end plan. So right now we've talked a lot about this in the Ask Me Anything with Eric, and our meetings are now encrypted with AES 256 GCM. And currently where we're at is that Zoom is still, our servers are serving up to you a unique meeting key for every single meeting that is set up. And so where I see the story progressing is that we want to move that key generation off of our infrastructure, because there's an opportunity of, if the more we can get it out to your computer, the safer it is. The less chance of somebody hacking into Zoom servers and what could they do. And so what we're doing is, as part of phase 1, is we're really moving it out and putting the key generation onto your computers or iPads or phones. And it's very similar to, it's exactly how like you have the SSL, the lock, when you're on a browser going to like your bank. And so it's done on your computer, and the key exchange happens and is generated from your computer. What we're doing is what we're going to be doing is we're also going to be putting in a beta. I think I actually have this on the next slide, so I'll cover that in a second. So what we have is phase 2 as well, is where you can leverage, like if you use Okta, if you use any kind of third party that does your multi-factor auth, where it's like you log in and then it sends you a message on your phone and then you accept it. So we're going to be continuing to build capabilities there so that everybody can leverage that. It's definitely a big thing for enterprises to be able to have that. So that's something important. And as well as we want to be able to provide a robust audit trail on what's happening with our crypto. Couple questions that typically come up is, will it be enabled for all meetings? Right now, it's opt-in per account and per meeting. and you know, that is an area that we will also ask for feedback on. So please provide feedback on if is that how you would want it or not. What if an attacker controls a participant's computer? So really, it's still important to patch your machines and make sure that you're running antivirus software, because if somebody takes control of your computer, they can definitely take control of your Zoom meetings. We're doing this is what I was referring to in the last slide. We are going to do a beta in August next month. And what we're doing is we're opening up. We actually asked in the CISO council meetings, is there companies that want to beta test and be able to provide us feedback around the end-to-end encryption on the phase 1 part? And so that's something that we're definitely offering. And I'm excited that we're going to be getting started. I know inside there's several of us that are running it, and I'm excited to be able to share that with customers. And then, of course, how do you want to, if you want to be included, you can let me know. You can let your Zoom AE or SE know as well. Will there be loss of functionality? There is. So the cloud recording won't be allowed because it's going to be all end-to-end encrypted. You can't add those services in. And then if you're dialing in from a phone, it will as well not be compatible because we can't change the carrier's methodology and encryption when they dial in. So a little bit about what we're going to do in the future. Of course, I'm about 3.5 weeks in. I'm doing a review end-to-end of our security and privacy program. You know, I'm leveraging my experience from Salesforce and Microsoft. One of the key areas I wanted to just talk for a little bit is ensuring the secure development of our product, because I feel like that is one of the most critical aspects. This is a kind of a standard security development lifecycle, and where we talk about on the design side, making sure that all the security requirements are baked in at design. There's a risk assessment and threat modeling. So that's basically, if there's a new feature, understanding what are all the threats, what are all the possible things that could happen, and what are we doing to protect. Same thing on the build side, when we're actually putting it all together into the product. We're going to use all kinds of different scanning tools to make sure that we're doing automated scanning. And then on the test side is make sure, again, we're going to be doing automated and manual tests. I talked about that we have third parties that are going to also be doing manual code reviews. So we're going to really be pushing the bar across the whole space in terms of the security development. And then there's the staging and production. Of course, there'll also be controls in place of where I'm going to be monitoring to see if there's any security issues. Also is understanding what the threat landscape is of understanding, are there new attacks? Are there new things that our adversaries are going to be trying, and making sure to keep ahead of that. So very excited to be here. I can't stress how much fun it is to be here, and excited I am to really continue to push the bar and to continue to raise the level of security at Zoom. And it isn't just a 90-day thing. This is something that I'm going to continually keep driving and driving. So I'm very excited to be here, and I really appreciate all the feedback, and you know, my job is to make the platform as safe and secure as possible. So I want to thank you all for listening, and we will definitely, if there's any other questions that you have at the end of all of our presentations, we can open the floor, and I'll be happy to answer them. So thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Thanks, Jason. That's great. And yes, please put your questions in the chat, and we will definitely get to as many of them as we can before the end of the session. So next, I'd like to introduce Tane Barzos, who is our new product lead for education. Tane, would you like to share with them some of your background and what you've been listening to and hearing for the last, what is it, 5 weeks now you've been on board?
I know, right? It's an interesting theme here. We have a lot of extremely fresh new people at Zoom. Let me go ahead and um, pop up a presentation. I just want to make sure everybody can see that all right. Yeah, so my name's Tate Arzo, and I have been at Zoom now. I think it's 6 weeks, and it's been a fantastic ride. I've really enjoyed it. A little bit of my history is prior to coming to Zoom, I've actually been in higher ed for about 15 years. So right before coming to Zoom, I was at Stanford, leading the educational technology and AV technology for the medical school. Prior to that, I was actually at Arizona State. I was a IT analyst working with the digital culture program. For all of you at ASU, if you're familiar with the digital culture, it's fantastic. I will always give it a plug. I'm also an ASU grad, so always maroon and gold through and through, definitely. Prior to that, Northern Arizona University and also Purdue. You can tell there's an Arizona theme there. Born and raised, moved to Silicon Valley in 2014. I've also been teaching in higher ed since 2005. That's been everything from English to digital humanities and video game literature, kind of you name it across the board. So I've always had a really deep commitment to education, a strong belief in higher ed and K through 12 education, and especially the power of technology to help accelerate education. So the opportunity at Zoom arose, and I really saw it as a fantastic way to really move beyond individual university and really to come out and make some really powerful impact across the globe. So I consider myself very and you know what I'm bringing with me, and what Anne is bringing, and what everybody else are bringing here is this commitment to education. It really is a committed focus. You know, it's interesting. So recently, I read a fantastic article in the Chronicle of Higher Education, and it talked about this idea of emergency teaching mode, right? So over the last few months, essentially every educator has been thrust into emergency teaching mode. And at Zoom, we're beyond excited to be that platform that so many schools have chosen, right? To be the ones who can deliver that and make that happen easily. But once we come out of this idea of emergency teaching mode, we now need to look at and determine what it means to move into true online learning and true online instruction. And what that commitment I'm talking about is that we want to be able to work with schools towards this and to be able to actually move this together and help empower you to accelerate that education. It shouldn't just be emergency. It should be finding a way to equal and in fact exceed what we can potentially do in the classroom. There's so much potential out there. You know, we can support different student-teacher ratios, different learning modalities, different teaching styles, and we need to make sure that we're looking at all subjects, from business to science to the arts to music education. We want to look across an entire stack and find ways to empower that. And so when we look at all those different areas, that really brings us to what I see as 5 different product development pillars. This isn't necessarily a comprehensive list, but these are the areas that myself and the team have really been focusing on. You know, the number one North Star, it's engagement. That's really what we want to do, rather than simply empowering kind of the traditional, you know, 25 to 1 or 100 to 1 model, the sort of stage on a stage. We want to make sure that we are working with educators to foster rich collaboration, rich feedback, really understand that learning is the collaborative process and it's not just a one-to-many process. And so this is really something we're focusing on. It's kind of this bright shining light, and how can we actually help make that happen within our platform, and as and said, listen as much as we possibly can to understand the needs of educators. So engagement is number one, and we'll be looking at a couple ways that we're working to move that ahead. Number 2, the ecosystem. And I think the big question here, and this is something that I've heard loud and clear during my time in higher ed, as well as the different listening tours we've been doing, is how do we reduce cognitive load? How do we reduce tool fatigue? How do we keep educators and students from having to hop from tool to tool to tool to really help deliver seamless experiences across platforms, right? Zoom is a powerfully synchronous platform. It's made for doing things live and in the now. We have learning management systems like Schoology and Canvas, etc. and those are asynchronous. They have an extremely powerful role in education, but how can we merge those together? How can we make more of a seamless approach across that to keep people within a single ecosystem or a dual ecosystem so they can do what they need to do and get what they need to get done without having to stretch in so many different directions. So this is a really strong focus of ours right now as well. The third one that I have here, it's assessment. Assessment is on everybody's minds right now. You know, we have business schools that are forgoing the GMAT. We have schools that have actually been creating their own proctoring and assessment areas using phones and Zoom and lockdown browsers. And, you know, it's become something of a Wild West. And we see a lot of people finding new and interesting ways to do this. And we believe that there are ways to help in this idea of assessment and proctoring. How can we deliver an experience that, again, is at least on par and ideally something that can exceed current systems? And that's something that our ears are incredibly open for, because we understand how powerful this is. And this moves into the area of quizzing as well. You know, moving ahead, making our tools within Zoom, our quizzing and polling tools more powerful, connecting those to Canvas, and again, connecting up to that ecosystem piece in the pillars. Flexibility. Instructors should be able to organize their courses. Students should be able to call up and organize and ingest their materials in ways that fit their particular learning styles. And we should be able to have a dialogue, and we should be able to negotiate between those styles, right? What does the class look like? How can we organize to make sure that we're creating successful online and hybrid courses? And moving into the future, how can we use Zoom in the classroom? How can we partner together? This should be easy, it should be intuitive, and it should get everyone the tools that they need. And then finally, accessibility and security. We just had a talk about security, and we can certainly punctuate how powerful that is. And then accessibility. We want a tool that is accessible to all, visual, hearing, across the board. We want people to be able to get in and do what they need to do and learn across the board. And we really feel that it's possible to level that playing field and give people what they need. So what does that all mean? There are a few things that we're looking at right now, and these are really the strong areas. Zoom rooms, right? I know ASU has a very large Zoom room population. Zoom rooms are a fantastic way to get people engaged. We want to make sure that Zoom rooms have parity with meetings, that you can do the same things in a Zoom room, you're not losing any functionality, and that we're enhancing that in areas of Whiteboard and chat, and allowing people to scale those as they need for small rooms all the way up to large lecture halls and business case classrooms and that type of thing. Audiovisual accessibility and customization. Again, we want users and instructors to be able to customize their screens, focus on individuals. If we have somebody doing ASL on the screen, we want to be able to make sure that we can pin and highlight that individual and really make that a powerful experience, creating virtual classroom layouts, being able to create virtual breakout rooms on the screen. Chat and file management. This connects very closely to that idea of ecosystem. What are other ways that we can foster communication, turning in of assignments, persistent chat, keep discussions moving within the Zoom ecosystem, and potentially connecting those back to a learning management system. Breakout rooms. Breakout rooms are a major focus. These are a major focus for Eric. They're a major focus for myself as well. We really feel the opportunity here is just through the roof for breakout rooms, because this is where we're really building that engagement. We're fostering that collaboration. We're putting students in pods, connecting them to one another. We're sharing in, we're sharing out, and there's so many possibilities here. Very powerful from a roadmap standpoint. UI improvements for engagement. How do instructors read the room? This is a really powerful piece of feedback that I've received from numerous institutions. When one is used to standing in a room and seeing that student raising their hand, urgent, 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 I have something to tell you, I really want to be part of this discussion. How does that come across in a hybrid or completely remote landscape? We want to be able to help accelerate that forward and help create that engagement. Assessment and proctoring, spoke about this a little bit. Lots of opportunity there, and I think we can really help schools move forward with this. Highly flexible annotation and interactive whiteboard components. There's a lot that can be done here as well. And this really connects back to the idea of that engagement, of making sure that everybody is involved. What if instead of having one whiteboard, we have 6 whiteboards, and students can bring those back up and they can look at those whiteboards and they can look at their notes in real time, and they're able to engage with those formulas and those business cases and really be able to move back and forth and enrich that experience. Instructor content administration. Instructors need to be able to queue up what they need to queue up. They need to be able to do more with their waiting rooms and let students know what they're doing and where they're going. Deep learning management system integrations, again, connecting back to Canvas and Schoology and other systems to ensure that we have a nice even flow of information. Take a quiz in Zoom, have that quiz result and that student go back into Canvas for grading, that type of situation. And then finally, and this is one thing that I really want to hammer home, and this is a very important issue, especially in K through 12, as well as higher education, is our dedication to Chrome. This connects to accessibility largely, and it's something that really helps empower education really globally. As we know, the Chrome is going to be deprecating its application store, and Chrome apps will be going for a while, but eventually they will be retiring those. Zoom has a Chrome app. So if there's one thing that I can say right now is that Zoom is not going to be abandoning the Chrome platform. So what we're looking at is this. The Zoom store app will be available until June 2021, along with all the other apps. It's going to be up, it's going to be active. People are going to be able to utilize this. Educational institutions will have the same access they always have. That being said, Zoom is right now partnering and very actively working to create a new, completely full-featured Chrome solution outside of that app that will be available well before that June 2021 date. And I really want to hammer that home. There isn't going to be sort of a run up to that last June 2021 and say, oh my gosh, we're going to be abandoned. We hope to have something much sooner than that, and we're making some fantastic progress there. We're absolutely committed to supporting and accelerating the Chrome educational experience. We see that as key, especially in the K through 12 area. So I just wanted to sort of put that in as a last point. We feel it's incredibly important. That being said, having talked a little bit about that roadmap, that's really the bulk of what I had to talk about. And I didn't know, do we have another individual who's going to speak, or are we at a point where we can open up to questions for the entire group?
So I'm going to just share a few things. So if you want to stop sharing your screen, and then we can open it up to questions.
Great, thank you.
Great. Yeah, so again, I'm Ann Keene. I'm a global lead for education, and part of my vision for our education community at large is to continue to have engagements on a role level. So not just having CISO roundtables, but I'd like to have president roundtables, provost roundtables, CIOs. I think Centers for Teaching and Learning, we're going to do a session for Centers for Teaching and Learning and Academic Innovation at Zoomtopia, which is our big users conference in October 14th to 15th. We're also going to have about 8 different tracks for looking at creative uses of Zoom in education and different ways to help shine the light on some of the great work that you all are doing. So stay tuned for some learning about Zoomtopia. Also, too, we are looking at creating a users group. And so there's been a great demand for that. And we have a really great name John Idelson helped us come up with, which we're not quite ready to announce yet. But we will have a user community. And we also will be rolling out some certification programs and badging programs. It's a big demand, especially in the K-12 market. In primary and secondary school market for educators. And so we're going to be partnering for that. So if that's something you're interested in, let us know. But also too, like I said, the premise of this is to learn, to listen, and to lead. And so we really want to have that dialogue. In my 30 years of experience of working in education and across a lot of education technology companies, this is not a quiet community, and which is why it's great that Lev and his team have put this on, because it's a great place for us to come together to really help improve that access to education, the quality of education, educational practices, and like Tang said, across all kinds of domains and globally. And the conversation I think these days is it's no longer pre-K to college, but it's really from birth to forever learning. And so we know that learning is weaving in and out of the post-secondary education too. So how we show up in our workforce and how do we participate in upskilling and reskilling and leveling. So we really see education as a forever activity, that lifelong, life-wide learning. So again, please share with us any questions you have, any ideas that you have. We want to be creative, we want to be innovative, but most importantly, we want to continue to have a frictionless, easy to use, but very feature-rich, if you will, platform that serves the education community on a global basis. So let's see, I think we have a couple questions. And so if you haven't put your question in, please do. And if you'd like to be a part of any of these advisory boards, or please let me know also. Happy to talk to you about that. Let's see, one question Tane was, will there be live transcript capability without having to use a third party?
Yeah, so I can talk about the live transcripts. That feature has been in beta for some time. A number of schools and clients were able to get into that beta. While the beta is locked right now, we will be rolling out live transcripts. We are looking at the August-September timeframe right now for all paid accounts, and those will be automatic transcripts, and that will be provided by Zoom.
Yeah, I think it's going to be more August from what I hear. Let's see. When the beta eventually goes to production, will dialogue in and cloud recording go away? Is that a question for Jason?
I'll take that one. Yeah. So the reason why we had that when we talk about that end-to-end encryption phase 1 and phase 2 is because those are going to be things that you have to configure and turn on. And so those don't work when you turn that feature on. You still have the end-to-end encryption where the keys are given from our server, and in that case, just like right now, you can use those value-added services. But when you do it, in particular with the full end-to-end, when that beta comes out, it does not allow those features at the moment.
Okay, and there is the question of, Tane, I told you this question would come up. Can we do live recordings in breakout rooms?
So right now, the breakout room capability is to do local recordings. So if an individual is in the breakout room, they can assign a person to do the recording, and that's actually going to be recorded to their machine. What we would like to do is expand that so it's cloud recorded. We're looking at some technical hurdles on that one, but that would then allow, say, an instructor to have recordings of the breakout room. So currently it's local, so an individual would need to do it to their own machine.
And I should have said the second part of that question was, can whiteboards be used in them?
Whiteboards, I believe, are available in breakout rooms.
Currently, yes.
Yes.
Okay. Let's see. This is a long question, so I'm so we are planning to use Zoom in our nonprofit organization for conducting our annual assemblies. The voting function is something we need to have in the Zoom environment. Is there any plans to add voting to Zoom, or can you help me with an extension or app that can be used with Zoom to use robust voting for voting on motions and board elections in our meetings?
Potentially, yes. I think that's a use case that we would want to dive into a little bit more to understand exactly what is needed for voting. Right now we can create polls that have yes, no, we can do multiple choice, that type of a poll. but I would be certainly welcome to discuss the use case of more robust voting if it falls outside of that currently polling usage. So I'd be more happy to open up a dialogue about that.
Okay. Let's see. How do you access the whiteboards is a question. And can a countdown timer would be helpful? Is that in the works?
So to utilize whiteboards, it's actually underneath the share screen. Someone can share their screen and then click on whiteboard, and it's essentially going to share a whiteboard out. And then when one is sharing a whiteboard out, there's actually a button to create another one, so you can cycle through your own whiteboards. And then what was the second half of the question again?
Somebody wanted to know, will we have a countdown timer? They thought that would be helpful.
A countdown timer, I guess I would need those specifics. I believe we have a countdown timer for breakout rooms right now. I'd be interested in, again, learning a little bit more about the use case of what that countdown timer would be for. Time to speak, not how much time is left. Okay, that's something I can definitely take back and investigate. Thank you for that.
I would like to split multiple pages of participant video tiles across displays. Is there a way to add that feature?
All right, so I'm guessing we're talking about if we have a meeting right now, right, and I can see, say, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, I have 25 people on the screen, and right now I'm moving across. That is an excellent question, because I know that's currently capable in Zoom Rooms, where you can have, say, 2 displays, you can have 25 people on each display. I believe that's a Zoom Room limitation. Right now in the app, you have dual monitors. You can have your gallery on one side and active speaker on the other. So currently we don't have that split function, but it's certainly something I'd be happy to look at from an engineering standpoint.
And somebody wanted me to speak a little bit more about advisory boards. So we are in the process of shaping what those advisory boards look like. So if you're interested, please let me know. And we also, just like we have a CISO council, we will also have a CIO council, and we will also look at having, like I said, roundtables, and that brings like provosts together, brings presidents together, but also brings together leaders of academic innovation. And we're going to do, there's some webinars, and also some other organizations are doing some outreach to faculty, much like ASU just had the remote conference. I think there's more of that coming. So we're looking at all different ways to be able to reach different walks of how you use Zoom within the academy. So if you have some creative ideas, one of the like I mentioned earlier on, I think when I was at the Gates Foundation, I did a lot of work with looking at the Centers for Teaching and Learning, and also leaders of academic innovation. And so I really want to connect. And I think a lot of you kind of have either been in these kinds of roles or support these roles, or have this as part of your title. So we really want to get to have more of a dialogue with you about what we can do to better support and maybe even connect, because there really isn't a community of centers for leaders of academic innovation or centers. And so if there's a way that we can do some convenings to bring you all together, we're looking at that also. So if that's of interest to you, would love to hear that. Scott, did you want to add anything more about some of the things we're doing? I know in sales, you have all kinds of things that you're doing directly with customers and with prospective customers.
Yeah, thanks, Ann. So a couple things. We're in the process of greatly expanding our K through 12 as well as higher ed sales team, as well as with the folks that will support us in selling the complete solution. Like, for instance, our Zoom phone overlay team that has vast experience both in education as well as selling UC platforms in the phone space. And then just want to realize we're all going through some challenging times right now. So we obviously appreciate your business and opportunity to serve you. So if there's anything that we can do in the meantime, please reach out to your local Zoom account rep, and we'll make sure that we actually do the follow-up. And then lastly, we have a huge footprint of customers out there. So if there's any questions, we obviously can pull someone in that can reference and provide information that you may need some help on. So appreciate the opportunity.
The other thing I would say too is we're always being asked to have people speak on panels. We get asked that all the time. So I'm always scrambling and saying, who's out there that's doing some great things with Zoom that would like to speak on a panel, so that we're not always parading the same people on panels, but we would love to help showcase and highlight some of the great work that you're doing. So let us know if you ever would like to be a panel speaker or present as well. Okay, let's see. Ryan, let's see, a couple more questions. I would like to split multiple pages. I think we already talked about that one. Is there an option in Works to have slides and screens show next to a whiteboard, like side-by-side mode?
Slides and screen. So slides and screen shared was the question?
Next to a whiteboard.
So slides next to a whiteboard. I see. So essentially sort of having a dual share is what that sounds like. Currently, we don't have that feature for a dual share. It's generally, we have the speaker, plus they would be sharing out either a whiteboard or slides. But again, that's certainly something. And again, this is part of the listening right now as we discuss these. I'm putting them all down on a list for investigation, and anything's possible. So thank you for that.
Okay, another question is, I should say it's an ask. We need breakout rooms that students can join instead of having to automatically assign. This would be for our student organization night, essentially so that students can join a breakout room of their choice.
That feature is on its way, so stay tuned.
Yeah, we have a number of features that are coming out in early August and then in September too. And we can hint at some of them, but unfortunately we can't disclose given that we're a publicly held company. So, but as soon as we get the okay to announce, we roll out things all the time. So, okay, let's see, we are almost at time. And let's see, pre-assigned registered users sometimes does not work when the user registers from an account not associated with Zoom. Feedback during the registration would be helpful.
Okay, great point. Thank you for that.
Yeah. There's a lot of waiting room features I think we've been asked for, and so we're really taking a look at that.
Exactly.
Okay, I think we pretty much have all the questions now, right? Ryan, do you see any that I haven't covered, or?
Pretty much covered them all,
Okay.
given pretty much on time to wrap up.
Yeah. Okay, one more, pre-assigning registered users. I already answered that one. Okay, great. All right, well, thank you everybody for joining us today. And this is an open and continuous dialogue. So please reach out to us and stay tuned for some more users groups and more interactions. And thank you for everybody. There are a number of people that offered to be speakers and be part of a users group. And yes, absolutely, faculty, very important part of it. So thank you very, very much for joining us.